and thank you for joining me. I'm Heather Forgan of stampwithnellie.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. This was one of the swaps I received at OnStage in Rotterdam that was created by a lovely lady, Carol of Crafty Carols Cards, and it had a couple of little chocolate eggs inside it. So as soon as I saw how this box worked, the fact that it's kind of triangular and that slides in there, I knew I needed to make one. So Carol had very kindly put a little slip of paper in there with a diagram, a cutting guide for it, and her details, and then I lost it. But thankfully I was able to go back and look at my own video of my swaps and found that she is craftycarolcards.co.uk, and I will put a link to her blog post for this swap in the description of this video. I'll also put a link to my blog that will have the measurements for my version. So as you can see, mine is a lot longer. It's also marginally different because Carol used centimetres and I have gone with inches. Okay, so as with Carol's one, slide that off, untuck that little flap there, and it reveals a Burts Bees lip balm inside there. So the box itself has to be a little bit longer than the lip balm because of these bits coming in at the side there, if you can see that. Okay, so if you are resizing it, that is something to bear in mind. But I've already done the measurements for this one and I'm going to make another one. Okay, so I managed to get the corner of that tucked in there. There we are. So I have used crushed curry, and this designer series paper is called Masterfully Made, and I've used the gorgeously made stamp set and dies. So I've used this one to cut that little bit here, and then this label one for my sentiment. But as you can see, I've cut it twice so that it actually shortens that quite a bit. Okay, so the sentiment thank you is from the gorgeously made stamp set. Both the stamp set, the dies, and in fact the designer series paper are all on the retiring list, so if you like them, grab them while you can. Last chance product sale starts on the 9th of April, and it's while stocks last, but will definitely end on the 30th of April because that's the new catalogue will launch on the 1st of May. So these are the bits that I need to make another one of these. So this piece of crushed curry card measures 5 inches by 3.5. I've got a piece of designer series paper that is 3.5 inches by 3 inches. I've got a scrap of white, and I've got the rest of that die cut. So as you can see, I die cut the whole thing from pumpkin pie, and I just cut a bit off to stick on there. Okay, so I've got the rest of that, don't need to cut that again, but we will need to cut our sentiment piece later on. First things first though, let's do the scoring and cutting and folding for the actual box. So with the 5 inches along the top here, I want to score that at 3/4 of an inch and at 4 1/4. Turn that around and score at 3/4 of an inch, 1.5, 2 1/4, and then 3 inches. Okay, so we have a 1/2 inch and then we've got 4 pieces that are 3/4 of an inch. So this 1/2 inch is the little bit that tucks in. Okay, so with that at the bottom, first of all, actually, let's just burnish all of these. So as I mentioned, you will get the measurements for my version that holds a lip balm in my blog post. So you don't need to take note of everything as I'm going along. And the blog post link is in the description for this video. Right, so with this piece, the short piece, a 1/2 inch bit there, I want to cut not just to that first, but to the second score line. And then I'm going to take off that little bit there. Okay. And then I'm going to wedge this as well. So just take a little bit out either side on there. Okay. And do exactly the same on the other side. So up past the first horizontal score line to the second one, chop off that little tab there, and then just chop into the sides like so. Okay, now we need to make little tabs on this side. So just to that first horizontal score line there, same on this side, and on both of them just take off a little wedge either side. Come on. So it's all looking fairly standard at this point. Okay, so we need to put in some diagonal lines so that we get this fold on here. I've got my ruler and my stylus for my scored, simply scored. So I want to put a V in that way. Okay, so we've got a middle score line on this section, so I'm going from the bottom left to the centre and then out to the bottom right there. Okay, so just line that up, your ruler up between the 2 points, and give that a fairly good press. If you don't have a simply scored and you do your score lines on your paper trimmer, then you can alternatively use a bone folder to put your score line in. It does just about as good a job. Okay, you probably can't tell the difference between the one done by the bone folder and the one done by the stylus. Okay, so I kind of like to just give that a little bit of a wiggle, technical term, and then it's going to come in like that. Okay, so I want to give that a little press that way, and same again. So what you could do is do it that way. I just like to make sure I've got nice crisp lines there. Okay, so again, if you give that a bit of a wiggle, then it kind of gets the fibres broken a little bit, and then that's going to go down like that. You're folding along that centre line there. And I like to separate them and give them both a little press in there. Quite easy. All right. So, also forgot to take off just a little slither either side there, and it just makes that much easier to tuck in when we get to that stage. Okay, so want to put some glue on these tabs. Okay, so I'm just going to do the front ones first. A little bit of glue there. I'll just do the second one as well. All right, and then just folding that round just as you would do when you're making a box as normal, just lining up those two edges and giving that a press until that glue sets. Same here, fold that up until you've got those edges nicely aligned, give it a press. And again, you can use your bone folder to really get a good squish. And in doing so, I've got a little bit too much glue on that side. It was a brand new bottle of glue. It was bound to happen. I've mentioned this trick before. I've taken off the excess, but just to make sure that it's no longer tacky, embossing buddy in there will do the trick. Okay. Then just doing exactly the same, glue on these two tabs. I'll try and put slightly less on, she says. And then that edge to that edge. Just as normal. Just slightly more difficult because you've got that little V scored in there. Okay, last one again, got those lined up, press that down. Bone folder, good press. There we have it. So we've kind of got a normal box tray, if you like, except that it's got these little bits that come in there. You can pop in your lip balm, fold those two up, and then, as I said, this bit just needs to tuck in like so. And it kind of keeps it closed, but we're going to have a belly band for decoration anyway. So starting at the bottom, I'm just going to crease that as I go. I don't want it to be too tight, but I also don't want it to fall off. So just creasing it as we go. And then we've got a bit of an overlap there. Okay, so I can put just a little bit of glue along there. Pop that back in. So that was the lid going down that way. Put that on. Just trying to line up the ends there to keep it nice and neat. And as I say, don't squeeze it too tight. You want to have a little bit loose. So that you can actually slide that off and on. All right, I've got glue everywhere. Nothing new, is there? Nothing new. Right, so sentiment. I am going to stick with pumpkin pie because I'm using the same die cut. Couple of taps. Check I've got it inked up. I haven't got any messy bits. Straight down and straight back up again. And then I'm going to die cut that in that position. And I'm going to bring my cut and emboss machine over so that you can see exactly what I am doing. Right, so I've got my usual base plate number 1. I have a cutting plate number 2. I've got my messy plate number 3. Then I've got my card and my die, and I'm putting it in at a little angle, and then I've got another cleaner number 3 on top. Wind that through, and there we have it. Then what I want to do is take this out gently, take that off, and then just slide that along. So I've got kind of the same distance. Just want to make sure I've got it well lined up there and pop that on. Let's bring this back through. Number 3 plate on top again, and I'm just going to do it, just going to wind it through until I can kind of feel it's done that first edge, and then back again. Just in case I've got it misaligned and I wouldn't want it to chop a bit off that it doesn't need to. So there we go. We have our shortened die cut. I can just get rid of that bit there and put my die safely away. Okay, so I need to take a bit of this. So I'm going to snip just at the bottom there, but it is actually joined up in there. So I'm just going to fussy cut that around. Try and move that out of the way because I don't want to chop the wrong bit. And there we go. I have just a little bit to put on here. So that's my top. Is it? Here's my bottom. That's my top. I had it right. And then what I'll do is just add, oh, that's too much. Got one of the little bits that I had cut off my box earlier. Let's just use that to spread that glue around. And we'll just add it to this end here. And that bit can stick up a little bit. And I forgot, lost that there, but no. And then a little bit of glue on here. Pop that on top. So just want to make sure that I've only got that on the kind of belly band bit there. Okay, so that will slide. And then open, she says. Love that mechanism. It's simple but very effective. And then put my belly band back on there. Now I added some gems on that one. I'm going to do the same again, and I'm simply using up these iridescent pastel gems because these are retiring as well. So I kind of go with the goldish ones, and I know this is Calypso Coral, not one of the colours that's actually in the designer series paper, but yeah, so what, just pop that on there. So that's my two versions. Prefer that with the little bit sticking up there than having it fully stuck down on my original one. Just love the extra colours that are in there as well, and that's the one that I received as a swap at OnStage. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please do click on that subscribe button, click the bell and get a notification the next time I upload a tutorial. But until then, please do take care. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.